Oh, that's too funny.
You are now live.
Thank you, Ash. Welcome, everyone, to our FBS Chat, our special guest, Haesun Moon, hopefully talking about her new book. Ooh, everyone go, ooh. There we go. My co-host, Naomi and Gil, thank you guys for joining us.
Let me
I
clean up my
love-
desk chair a little bit before we get
Yeah. Gil's pretending to tidy his desk. I love the title. Where did the title come from?
Where does the title come from?
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I know. I like the title too.
Mm.
The title was actually, I think I was a little bit annoyed that people thought this coaching thing is a thing that you have to go to school and learn, where it can really be part of our like everyday life. And I think I wanted to really pay like attention to how these micro conversations happen already all the time and how we can even like change them. So I think that's where the title comes from.
Mm.
And it's actually literally A to Z, like one word for each alphabet. And it was really fun to do because I first had this idea of writing this book about 7 years ago. And then I started to collect those words because meaning comes, we don't necessarily believe that words actually contain meaning, but it's in how we use it. So then when I was studying, when I was looking at videotapes of Insu Steve and all these amazing people who are doing solution focused, I paid attention to words. So I think it took me some time to actually fill A to Z and bloody X. So anyway, so that's where the name comes from. Thank you for asking. I'm very proud of the title, actually.
So you have a word for each letter of the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you choose what goes into A and into B? How do you make that choice?
I know there was actually I under each letter I had a few words that I collected over the years, and I was like, yeah, when people use this one and people use this one, so it started as more like a game. So I initially thought about, it wasn't a book that I was thinking about. It was more like a poster with just words that you can just put it on the board and just choose those words. It was more like a game. Then once I started to watch people's tapes, in search of those words, it became so much enriching for me because I'm now looking with that lens. So I had a few different words for each letter, and I just had to choose one out of those things.
Oh, wow.
So can you imagine, like under X, right, or Z? Like, what do we do?
Well, that's where I wanted to have a little bit of a sneaky look into Gil's book, who has a book. Us in the UK have to pre-order, and the earliest it will arrive is May.
Yeah, I ordered it through Amazon.
So did we.
Did you? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's Amazon UK, and
By the time we
Amazon.
receive our copy, Haesun will be on the second edition.
I'll get you an e-copy.
Yes.
Yes.
Get us an e-copy.
Or Haesun will be on volume 2.
Actually, my family, they're preparing. They actually, I don't know if it's a thread or not, but they're like, we can actually write a sequel to this book. And I'm like, what would you write about? And then they're like, oh, the other side of Haesun. I'm like, come on.
So the title of the second volume 2 will be Haesun Z to A.
Right? Yeah. Oh, so
here's the book. If people haven't seen a picture of it, yeah.
Wow, thank you. It's so weird that I see the book in your hand. It's like, oh my gosh, you're holding it. Wow.
So if I'm looking at this book and I go to, all right, so give us a flavor. Letter A. What word did you choose and why?
Oh, let's do this. Actually, I don't know if there are people listening in or not, but let's play here. So
Okay.
without knowing what's that word, what do you think it might be?
Ooh.
Ooh,
Hey,
that's-
you can't ask us questions. That's not how this works.
She's very good at deflecting, Haesun. She's
Right,
the
I mean,
master of it.
seriously, if you think about like of some like words that you can choose, and that word is actually intended to kind of orient somebody's attention to maybe purpose or possibilities or progress, what word would you choose?
Let's see here.
No cheating, Gil. Oh, that's a good question. Damn, Haesun.
Mm,
Hey.
orientate.
And it's not a concept, it's actual use that you will use ordinarily in your everyday language. You probably said it today already.
I haven't looked. About,
Okay.
around.
Attention.
Okay. How would you use that in a sentence? If you're in a, if you're sitting down with your client and you're having a conversation, how would you use that in a sentence in a really ordinary way, eh?
I would like you to pay attention to the things that you'd like to see moving forward.
Oh, wow. I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
I think F is the forward actually in the book. You just said moving forward. Or it's the first, I forget which one.
Yeah,
Naomi,
that's
what
a
do
good.
you
That's a
think?
good one, Joe. Yeah. Or
What do you
between
think,
now,
Naomi?
the next time we meet, pay attention and notice when you've moved up 1 point on the scale.
Oh, I love it. See, Gil,
I think
that's
the
the
real.
N word right there. Notice.
Oh, there you go.
Uh-huh.
I think the real competition is working out the X.
Oh yes, that's right.
Hang on, we don't know what the A is yet.
Well, we already got the F and then the other ones too. So hey. But if you
Now, I'm impressed that you remember all of these, Hazen. If I were you, I would have written the book, and I'd have to look up all the things. I wouldn't remember this.
I already forgot like half of it.
So that's why you're asking us.
Now here's
Good.
a little hint. I actually said the A word about 3 times already in our last few minutes. Guess what that word is?
Oh, she named it after me.
Yeah.
It's not Aisha. No.
Oh man, I love this. It's like we think too hard about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pay attention and notice those times when you behave like Aisha.
God help you all.
So A word is already.
Oh.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because we use that word
Yeah.
and I think, that story was actually the first story that I wrote because I was so annoyed with, by the way, annoyed is not the A word, but annoyed with this personal trainer who was like, you're almost there. I'm like, you are annoying. Like, I can't do like 30 push-ups and then like 15. He's like, you're almost 20. I'm like, shut up. But then it's a completely different story. If you are using already, you're already here. So I'll give you an example. My nephew who started Kumon, that's what happens when you send your kids to an aunt. So then I got them enrolled in Kumon, which is a math program. I love it. And, he started from really 5 grades below. And my sister is so easygoing. She doesn't care, but I do. So then I'm like, you are 5 grades lower. And then I keep on and then every time he actually stepped up, I'm like, wow, you're almost there, almost there. And then one day my nephew turned to me and I said, can you stop saying almost? I always feel so behind when you say that. See, within last 2 years, I already stepped up 4 grades. Do you see it? And I'm like, wow, I do that. Well, yeah, the gap between already and almost is pretty big. Anyway, so that's the A word.
And wow. And can you remember the examples of people using already that inspired you to think that's the one? Was there a moment or a collection of moments?
You know, actually, the book was written with a very specific gratitude, actually. So each letter gets a personal story of growing up and professional story of growing up in coaching field.
Oh.
So I actually do remember. So I tell stories from my childhood, of my parents. And then also, I feel like I grew up in the solution focused community, and there's so many people who parented me. So
Mm.
I remember there are tapes, whether it's a tape or whether it's a session that I watched, and already shows up in so many of their tapes. I mean, when you actually watch people who do solution focus, they say already, I think at least once in their sessions, what's already happening? Like, what are some recent examples that are already moving in that direction? We say it. But then I realized, wow, what an easy micro conversation that we can change just by introducing this one word. If you will never take any course on solution focus or coaching, maybe we can simply just transform our micro conversations with that word. Right. So every single letter actually has a story that I remember specifically
Yeah.
from all of my solution focused parents.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And so different to almost.
Yeah.
How do you said you'd watch tapes of like Haesun and Steve, and I've watched pretty much most of their tapes too that are commercially available anyway, and they're using them in a intentional clinical setting with a client. So how do you think about using solution focus conversationally in everyday life outside of an interview, solution focus interview with a client?
I think solution focus, I think somewhere, I heard that it's more like a stance that people take, whether you're coaching, training, therapying, or whatever it is that you do. And I think it's a stance that simply centers around just being curious about what the other person might want. And I think if we can somehow attend to that, I think solution focused conversation actually happens quite naturally if that's your attention. I think some schools actually, I hear some people mentioning, oh, what do you think about this? If unless you do this, this is not solution focused. Or, if you, there's some thoughts about that I have. There's a traditional way of doing this. But then, when I was talking to Jonas in Sweden, I still remember we were sitting at this bar in Florence with Pout and Jonas and, a few other people there. And then Jonas is like, since when did we actually, like just turn away from this learning stance to teaching stance? Somehow we learned like we are no longer learning, but we are now ready to teach them. But then once we actually regain our learning stance, that becomes very easy. It's not about the words that you speak or questions that you memorize. It's about the stance that you bring to each and every interaction, right? So yeah, I think it can happen really. I think it's really powerful when that can happen in families, at dinner tables. And I think that's where real changes can actually, sustaining changes can happen.
Yeah.
Just in conversation around the dinner table.
I really think so. Yeah. Yeah.
When did you see yourself just embracing that stance as a person? Internalizing it,
I don't know if I have completely done that yet, actually. Like, I think I need to, I don't think that's natural for me to hold that stance for other people. Because when I'm in a conversation, I don't always think about, wow, what do they want? I mean, I really don't. It's like, oh, you're annoying. Sometimes I think that too. And then with my nephews, I'm thinking a lot of other things too. So I think it's more still very intentional that I want to. I actually told my mom, I said, Mom, I feel like I wrote a book that I want to read and learn.
That's
So,
great.
yes, I don't do everything that I actually introduce here, but I know I've seen it, I've done it, I've experienced it, but it's not 24/7 stance for me. So I'm also still trying and experimenting.
Naomi, do you want to jump in with your research? Because that might actually be, and I'm going to say the C word.
Oh, Aisha, that could open up, yeah.
That's we're going to get lots
Yeah.
of complaints this evening.
Yeah.
They're coming through as I speak.
Yeah.
But I actually think that might be it.
The stance, you mean? Yes. Yeah. And I think, yeah. So, Haesun, I was sort of just like, researching and thinking about you today and this evening, and I came across a so brief. I mean, you'll remember it, and a lot of people watching this have probably seen it, but so brief and yet so powerful for me. And I think it does connect to this stance, where Elfie Cherney interviews you for a few moments before a Soul World conference, before or during or after. I think it was in 2019. And she just picks two words, and the first word is about curiosity. And your answer, we all discussed briefly before we went live this evening, and everyone said, "Oh, wow!" And this feels like I noticed this in your stance, and I'd love to hear what you think. Where Elfie asked you about curiosity, and you said about curiosity coming from the stem of cura, and that meaning to care or to cure, and that curiosity is therefore healing in the interaction. And that's why you use the word curate conversations. And it was just magical. And I noticed that's your stance, certainly with us. But
Wow, that's so cool. It was one of the words for C for sure. Oh, absolutely. It was so much there. And I almost wrote on the word curious because I use it and other people use it. But then when I went back to watch other people, it wasn't a popular word, eh? So then I was like, well, if it's not ordinary words that we use, I mean, I can't really put it in the book because this book was written for just everyday people to have everyday conversation with a tiny little thing in there. So then, all of a sudden, like I don't imagine my dad all of a sudden like approaching me saying, "I'm curious." I mean, that would be weird. The C word that people use. And then it ended up being something that actually has curious in it, the word care. You see how a lot of times I actually watched people do their work and they seem to really talk about what people care about. And especially this one exercise, it's from Peter DeYoung and Insu's book, and it's called complaining exercise, right? So people complain about something, and then you simply, as a listener, you simply respond back saying, "So you really seem to care about this." And I just thought, oh, what a beautiful word, care. Yeah, so that's the C word.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did I get the
I
X
do.
right, Haesun?
I actually learned not too long ago that because I didn't know what XO was, or some people actually sign XX, and I didn't know what it was. And I was like, I asked my class, and they're like, "Oh, XX means like hugs or something like that."
Hugs and kisses.
Okay, so I didn't know, and then I actually next day I think I was doing something, and I signed XXX, and then somebody said, "Don't ever do triple X's." So anyway,
Oh.
under X,
I'll email you, Naomi.
I love that I look naive right now. Brilliant.
and
Usually I look deviant.
for all of you to actually, this is the fun part of it, because I chose those words, but also you can choose your own words too. And I'm so curious about how other people who may not who may use different languages may choose their own, like in Spanish, in French, and like Japanese. What would that be like? I'm so curious about it. Like if we say already and almost as a comparison, how would there be that difference and nuance in Japanese? I don't know. We can ask Keiko.
Mm.
Yeah. So what do you think X might be? I'm so curious about what you would think. The X. What would you choose? I know it's not fair. It took me like 5 years. I'm just giving you like 5 seconds.
Yeah, you've had 7 years to think of this stuff.
That's true.
Ella, come on, Ella,
and
give us some suggestions.
it is an English word.
It is.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, kind of. Yes.
Which letter are we on?
X.
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 Mm.
And X, it's okay. I'll give you a hint. It's not a word, but it's more of a phrase. Okay. So it's a phrase.
A phrase.
Yes. That one is the only one that's a phrase, actually. Because I can go with a xylophone. I couldn't,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's.
I'm thinking X-ray. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
Xerxes. That was a person. That was a person.
X factor.
Exception.
Oh, that's a good one. X factor. Actually.
And actually starts with X, not like EX, not like X.
It's actual X. And I mean, this is not fair. I'll tell you. And this is something that I saw Solution Surfers, actually Peter Zabo, and actually Chris Iverson does it too. That Simon, I've seen Simon do it, and those are all my mentors, by the way. And when you actually look at a scaling, and the scale of 1 to 10, 10 to 1, and then wherever you are, that's X on a scale. So when you're on that X on a scale, I know I was pushing it a little bit, but I actually saw some textbooks with X on a scale. I'm like, yes, I can do that.
Owen, we didn't get it right, Owen.
And how long did it take you to come up with that?
That took some time because I was like, I cannot find any X words. And I think that letter and the other one, actually, Z came in. Z was easier to think about than X. So with the X, I had to read some books to see if there's anything with X in it. And I couldn't find a word with it. So I found a phrase that we can actually use in our coaching session. So that one may not be as ordinary, but I found myself actually saying that a lot when I was teaching about the concept of scaling. So let's say you're at X, and what we actually then explore is this distance from 0 to X. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
Very good. I like that.
That wasn't really a fair question, was it? It's not a word beginning with X. It's a phrase. Okay.
I love the idea of starting with A already and then X on the scale, which is so often an exploration of what is already happening.
Oh, there's a good word for E, exploration.
And how would you say that in ordinary conversation?
Let's explore. Let's go back and explore. Da da da.
Oh, okay. Okay. How else would you use it?
Oh, shame. Yeah, you shouldn't have said anything.
I'm doing the admin behind the scenes. Yeah, so I'm watching you here as well. Just so you know, look, you're right there.
I was just going to ask, Haesun, I know it's like solution focused coaching would find it really, really useful. But you said you wanted to, it was more about everyday conversation. What are you hoping that people would get, and how would it influence everyday conversation? What were your hopes for that?
There are some people who are already giving me feedback after reading the book, and I really cherish every single one of them. And so far, something that really touched my heart was this. One person I think he is probably 85, 83, and he just has surgery. He's recovering from home, and he got this book. And he said, well, each chapter is just the right length, because when you reach my age, I mean, you don't want to read a big chapter that you have to remember everything that happened before. And each chapter is not a continuation from the previous chapter. It's a separate chapter, 2 stories. And he really loved the structure. And he's like, oh, I wish I knew this like 40 years ago when so that was so sweet. Another person actually said, well, I read it the first day that I got it. I read it, but then I started to read again with my 7-year-old daughter. And that's actually posted on Amazon as a review. And I was so touched. And she actually will read each letter every day with a 7-year-old. And for me, that's the biggest compliment, that it's so accessible that 7-year-old can actually read together with their mom and they get it. And they talk about it. They do reflection questions together. I'm like, what? So really, that's what I would love to see happen, that this becomes something that people will actually use, not just read and put away, but just ask people some questions in the reflection guide or do something, talk about it. And also, really, what I am hoping that people would do is really come up with your own story too. Like that's related to concept of already. What are some stories that you have in your life that my story might inspire? And also, especially if you speak another language, I think that would be so cool to hear from, what that is in your language too. Yeah. So, and that's really the playfulness of the idea of using how to use the book. But those two reviews so far, when they say, oh, my 7-year-old daughter actually says it somehow always ends in the right place, is what the daughter says.
Yeah. That's a great compliment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is inclusion and accessibility embodied.
I'm so thankful.
So, Haesun, I have another different kind of question. Here's your book. Let me put it up there and see. I can't. So, what is that next to your name on the book? what is that, like a
celebration?
Is that like a self-portrait or something?
That's right. That's my profile photo. You have a problem with that? I thought I was included. What?
I mean, it's happy. It's happy. Yeah.
Oh, this
What's
potato.
the story behind that?
It's so funny because this potato, my mom, that was the first thing she said. What is this? Is yellow potato? Is that because they look like you? I'm like, Mother, no, it's not. No. Potato actually has a really, it's an inside joke for example. So in my class, we talk about how solution focus is a dialogic. It's a dialogue. It's not a discussion, right? So it's not a decision-making tool. It's not a discussion. It's a dialogue. It's a dialogic and relational approach to working with people. So then, in talking about that, I often talk about this, how dialogue actually grows. Dialogues don't grow like meanings don't grow on trees. So when you do root cause analysis, it becomes really difficult because that's not how it grows. So in conversations, meanings grow like potatoes. They grow out. They don't grow up. So potatoes grow much like our conversations. And there's probably people who are familiar with philosophy and so on. They know this term rhizomatic. It's rhizomes. Those are roots. They actually grow out. So any potato at that point could be a starting point, end point. You cannot actually grab one potato and say, who is your mother? I mean, because they just grow out. So that's the potato. Okay, that sounded like I'm accusing a potato. Anyway, who is your father? I don't know.
I think it's cute. I've just picked up a couple of reviews from Amazon. This book is a perfect blend of teaching, insight, wisdom, and personal stories, finished off with reflective questions. It is an easy and enjoyable read, so much so you might not realize how impactful each chapter is.
I didn't know that one. Okay. Hey, there you go.
Oh,
that is just amazing. This
that
one,
is.
right. Inspiring real-life stories coupled with easy-to-understand description of specific coaching concepts will broaden your understanding of coaching. Reflective questions at the end of each chapter invite you to write your own story while refining your coaching perspectives.
So sweet.
Look at that. And the first one was written from Haesun's sister. The
Okay.
second one was written from Haesun's mum.
Oh, and we don't want my brother saying anything on that.
Let me find the one from your brother. No, I'm just joking. No. They're not people. These are genuine feedback. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm really excited to read it.
We have ordered it and we're waiting expectantly, Haesun. I wish
I'll
we'd have got it
I'll
before.
send you the they have this link that I can send you for ebooks. So you can, I don't know if you read ebooks, I just have to hold it in my hand.
I like
But if-
that.
Yeah, if you're okay with.
Yeah, I'm a more real book.
Right? You have to flip
Yeah.
it, you have to feel it,
Yeah,
right?
but
I like to
want
underline
it.
and make notes in the margin and things.
That's
like
right.
I prefer books, but send me the ebook, please, because I can't have people reading it before me.
Wow,
That's
I
the
should
other
have actually
thing.
sent it to you earlier.
Well, now, Haesun, obviously you love language, words and language, and so I did a quick Google Scholar search for you, and I came across an article in Interaction, and it's titled I have it right here, the Masterclass : a pedagogical
Bless
approach
you.
to
Did you just sneeze?
learning solution focus. I have never seen that. Now, I'm the old guy here. I love language. I've been reading. I fell in love with reading early in life. I've never come across that word before. I also use Google to look up the meaning of that. Could you explain where you came across this and explain? I've never seen it used before.
Wow,
Didn't know this word existed.
It's amazing. It's amazing that you're asking about that. I didn't think that you would actually ask about that piece. That's amazing. Now, pedagogy, seriously, every time I hear somebody saying, I'm like, bless you, because it really is like, pedagogy. How do we even spell it?
Yeah, how do you spell it?
So it's kind of like in that article, I talk about how pedagogy has this word like heuristic. You know how to spell heuristics, right? So heuristic is spelled HEU and so on and so forth, heuristic. And it's the pedagogy is a concept in adult education, how people learn. So, adult education has a pretty, like I would say, long enough history with it. My background is in adult education. So that's what I studied. And I studied coaching, solution-focused conversation, and communication through the lens of adult education. So pedagogy is a very new concept, but it's not really new if you think about it. So pedagogy is using heuristics for your learning. So heuristic for me is the one heuristic that I learned. Well, heuristic is kind of like, it has the same root word as eureka. In Greek, eureka is like, I discovered it. So it's kind of like discovery based. So using heuristic to discover for your own learning. And I introduced in the book actually the quadrant, dialogic orientation quadrant, actually as a heuristic to do your own learning, because that's how adults learn. They moved from, in adult education, they moved from pedagogy, because ped means children. So then somebody actually thought, oh, we're not gonna call it pedagogy, we're gonna call it andragogy, which is learning of men. And then that's been sort of dominating adult education for some time, differentiating how children learn different than adults. But what's so interesting is last 10 years or so, because of all this technology, you can learn whatever you want to learn, whenever you want to learn. And I can actually turn on YouTube at midnight and learn to cook like peanut butter cookies, which I actually did. But anyway, they were not clear about you need to use, when they say baking sheet, they need to be clear that it's not a paper sheet, but it's actual tray without the holes. Anyway, so there's some like glitches in, when you teach yourself. But when I look at coaching, especially done in solution-focused way, it's really pedagogy, like at its heart. So we don't determine what you should learn, how you should learn, and you decide all that stuff. So it's really learner-centered approach. So that's where the word and hiragoji comes from. I am so passionate about that piece, actually, because that's where I really think solution-focused approach to teaching, coaching, and learning, all that stuff is like really, we are at the forefront of adult education. So anyway, I'm passionate about it.
Can I just say, I also read that, and for me, the tiny detail, well, two things where you say masterclass, class of masters, such a shift, and then when you describe how placing the rubbish bin near the door invites people to take that walk if they were ever going to take that walk on the breaks, which potentially, if they're that kind of person that would benefit from that, will strengthen the learning and reflection. I mean, what incredible. How did you discover that? And yeah.
Actually, you know what? Those are the things that I learned from actually both Peter Szabo and Mark McCurgo. So Peter Szabo, actually, I invited Peter Szabo to come and teach a master class, and he came and he wrote on a flip chart, it's like class of masters. I'm like, what? That's a completely different thing than master class. So then ever since then, I actually introduced master classes. This class is about noticing your mastery. And when we have supervision class, it's about us having the supervision to notice your mastery. Now that really frames the entire entire relationship differently. And people know that we are looking for your mastery. Peter Szabo didn't use this word mastery. You know the word that he used? I hope that he's okay me saying this here. He said,
he's not on social media, Haesun,
you know,
so it's okay.
good. So Peter Szabo, he said, whenever you're watching, because I was asking him, you know, what are you actually watching for when you're watching somebody else's work? And he's like, you watch for the smallest chicken shit that they do right. I love it so much that you are looking for the smallest hint of mastery that people bring, that they already have. And this idea of the rubbish bin that you're talking about is, I don't know which conference where, you know, Mark was talking about this idea of affordance. I'm like, what is he talking? I mean, he is so ahead of like my cognitive. So whenever I sit in his class, I'm like, my goodness, like I have so much to learn. He talked about this affordance, and I studied about it. I like after taking, you know, his attending his conference, I really took a, you know, good look at what we mean by affordance in adult education. It's really about creating that condition. Chris Iverson talks about how do we create the condition, or how do we actually facilitate a condition where clients will be more likely to find themselves like making progress. And affordance is, it's in IT, for example, it's user when you use your iPhone. Like, especially, I am amazed at this, like my nephew who doesn't even know how to like multiplication chart. They should know by like, I don't know. Anyway, he didn't know any of it, but then he can fix my iPad. I was like, how is it possible? Because your iPad, they make it so easy for you to use. My mom, who's like 7, I'm not supposed to say how old she is. My mom is over 70. She can pick up a new iPad and she can use it because it has icons, it has everything there that helps you to navigate. So that's affordance. You know, you can really create that condition where people are more likely to do some actions. It doesn't cause you to act, it cues you to act. Right? And I think in our conversation, that's what I see. Like in our training rooms, we don't call garbage bin there doesn't cause them to go out, but it kind of cues them because they're right by the door anyway. There are a lot of cueing that we do in conversations, no?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely. The C word again.
Well, behavior is contextual, so that sounds like what you're talking about is creating
sorry, go on, Gil.
One is creating a context that promotes affordance.
I was just thinking, you know, when you You bring the clothes in from the line because they're dry, and you fold them nice and neatly, and you put them on the stairs in piles of who takes what up, and somehow they can jump or jump over 2 steps and avoid, so that they're missing the cues there. This is your pile of clothes. I haven't asked you to take them up, but you can clearly see your clothes. How do we overcome that to make the cues a little bit more obvious?
Wow. Yep, I hear ya.
But you saying about the bin, the bins, the rubbish bin, I did that tonight. Joe, did you notice? I emptied
No.
out the bin, tied the bag, and left it on the top of the stairs. And I didn't say anything to Matt. And he
Right.
took it downstairs. He took it outside.
So that was your cue.
That was my cue.
Ooh,
Mm.
And I didn't say anything to him.
brilliant.
That's my moment of brilliance for today. And now I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Haesun, 7 years ago, you had this nugget of an idea.
I
this
did.
book.
Yeah, and Gil, I think, can you say something? I don't know if
Oh, I put myself on mute.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Now I'm back now. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just asking. 7 years ago, you had this idea for a book. 7 years seems like a lifetime for some people. What kept you going?
I actually stopped for 5 years. Just the reason why I started is because I wanted to play fun games in class and all those things. But then I was also working on my PhD, and actually, I got so much done. Like, instead of doing my PhD, I got so many other things done in avoiding finishing my PhD. And it's so funny because I told a story in Frankfurt when people asked me about, why did you start PhD? Well, it was really because my parents sent me down one day and they said, well, you are like over 30 and, you're not married and all those traditional things that they say. And they said, so I think you have an option of either getting married or like do a PhD. I'm like, what kind of option is that? I'll do PhD. That's how I started. And now I'm done. I don't know what to do with myself. Like, do I now have another option? But I stopped because I had a few ideas about maybe 3 letters back then. So then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I actually put a chart of like all the letters and I sent it to a few people and I said, what do you think? I got their feedback. But then I'm like, I don't think it's going to actually ever work out. And then after I stopped, a lot of things happened, including my father passing. And after he passed, I think about 3 months after, I realized I would like to do something. And I didn't have any clear idea, but then I just went back to what was very comfortable for me, which is writing. So that's how I process anything. So then I was writing and I was coaching myself. And I found some of these words that I used so life-giving for me in the middle of those grieving process. So, I questioned everything. For example, like H is for hope. And I'm thinking, do I even believe in that? Do I even believe in this idea of hope that we keep talking about in solution focused? So I journaled about it. So I started to journal about my own reflection. And I was very critical of many of those things. Like, sure, I do this with my clients, but what am I going to do? Like, my mom is grieving, and how is this even useful? So fighting with myself as I was supporting my mom grieving, and then, also feeling like I don't have time to grieve myself. Then as I was supporting my mom, my family, and so on. And when, some of people who are, listening or watching this might be also going through that process of grieving. And when you're grieving, you're hypersensitive to words people say. Then it became very clear to me what words were very useful and what words you should never say. And I think I became very sensitive to words, especially throughout that grieving process. And initial idea that I had before the book was very different than what it ended up becoming. Because I was going to write about my experience as a coach and teaching coaching, but then it became about realizing how much my parents have done in shaping me, my parents, and also how many of my mentors in solution focused community have really shaped everything I do. There's nothing that I learned from like a vacuum. There, I've watched somebody do something, and really, so I wrote this book in honor of people who have shaped my practice and shaped my life.
Mm.
Yeah, of
Interesting,
course.
right?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Jenny, for example, Jenny Clark and Peter Rorick, they wrote the 57 SF activities. I did all my training and consulting for the first 5 years, like fully based on that book. So, like, really doing all that stuff, I realized, there are people who just raise you.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned the quadrant. Could you say a little bit about the inspiration for that, and what is that quadrant about?
Well, the quadrant is, I think, I'm so curious about how people are using it, because sometimes I get an email or a message saying, "Oh, the quadrant worked." I'm like, "What did you do? Tell me so that I can learn what you did." Really, it's a heuristic. It's a kind of it's a tool. I use it mostly for research and teaching, so that I don't have to teach. I can just introduce this and say, "Go look at your own tape and see what you do." But I use it for my research. And actually, right now, I am going to be doing a research project looking at all the SF tapes using the quadrant. So that's the research that I'm going to be doing soon. So for me, it's a research tool, but it first came out more like an interaction of, I'm trying to actually sort of show somebody who was not speaking my language, like, this is what it's about. And then he's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like this. So then it had several iterations of like trying to really like define what it is that I was doing. And then it became very clear that it's about what Jennifer Gerwing actually calls attending to our clients. And we attend differently. And what we're attending to and pay attention to is specifically around what the client might want. It's not just what client wants, but what they might want. And it's usually around what people say that they want. And even when they say, this is not what I want, you can still sort of infer a little bit. So then quadrant came in very handy. It actually took a few different iterations to develop it, but it's simply a listening compass. So as you're attending to your client's narrative, it's not about questioning. What you can ask in this quadrant is slightly irrelevant, because it's not about what you do. It's about what they say and how you listen to them differently. So then you can actually then map what the clients or your family, whatever they say on this quadrant roughly. And then you can also watch how you respond, what you choose to respond to. And that's the part that I find very useful in a way that people use the tool, use the heuristic. It's a heuristic of interaction. What happens when you do this? What they say, and then what you say in response, and what does that do to their next response? You can map it. And that's interesting.
I'm just going to see if I can share the quadrant.
Oh, this is getting very technical.
Wow.
Listening compass is such a beautiful phrase.
Can you see that?
What is this? Wow, look at that. Okay. I didn't even know that existed.
Ah, well, look, you can see I'm on, but you can't see the actual quadrant.
No, it's just a list.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. I have put it in the chat.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I use the quadrant all the time in my workshops, and it's brilliant. And that is session 3.
Okay.
Session 3 is look at this, go into breakout rooms, decide what it is, and start working on it.
Wow.
And that's my explanation of the quadrant.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
But it's amazing because they come up with so many different ways of using it, and then then I swap them over and change up the breakout rooms, and then they come up with a different idea.
Wow.
And it's just, well, find what works for you.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
Aisha,
so
that's
many
so
ways
amazing.
that you can use it. Yeah, no, but it's just me being lazy, Haesun.
You know,
What's
actually,
that? I don't know.
sometimes I find it so useful to introduce this with our clients. Actually, I do that all the time. When I meet with my clients, we chat about 10-15 minutes, and then right after that, I will actually introduce this quadrant idea. And then if they have a whiteboard, even better, I just put on the whiteboard and I say, so based on what you said so far, you said this, 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 and then I just map it. And so many times the clients say, why am I so negative? I'm like, no, you're not. You just know what you want and what you don't want. And so where would you like to, what will be useful for you to actually, what would you like to do with this? And then they really always say, you know what, can we talk about, this? And then they point to the preferred future. Right. And I just love that. And very recently, I started to experiment with this idea of asking people to tell me a story of your preferred story about your work. Tell me a story of your preferred story of your relationship with your, spouse. And I just play with your preferred story. And people tell me such an amazing story of this is my preferred story. Not a perfect story, preferred story. And then I have to just say, wow, so what are some things that that's already in the making? And they all, every single one of them have an example. And those are all applications of solution-focused stance, isn't it?
Love that. It's amazing.
Oh, it's just amazing to watch them just curate their own story in that way.
I might invite you to one of the, I will invite you to one of my session 3s, Haesun. And we won't tell anyone who you are, and then just you can see them in action using the quadrant. Haesun will be in the corner, like hiding her face, sweating, like no. But yeah, it might be quite nice for you to join.
There's no rule or anything like that. Just only thing that I am very mindful of is that it's really about what the client says, not what I say. So.
And is that the Q word?
Which one?
Quadrant.
Oh, well, no, because you wouldn't say that in an ordinary conversation with your 7-year-old kid. You wouldn't say, so tell me about your quadrant. You wouldn't do
that. But you might say, let me ask you a strange question.
Hey.
Yeah. So Gil's got the book. That's not fair.
I haven't looked. I just barely started it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I have started it, but I just haven't just a few pages into it.
See, if I had the book in my hand now, I would be cheating. Gil has not done that once. So we're all going, what's the A word? What's the C word? What's this? And he's still looking at the camera rather than flicking through the book.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for doing that. That's the whole part of the fun, right? Us kind of figuring out.
Oh, come on. You all know I would have cheated.
And actually, that's the thing. These are my 26 choices that I made. And I really hope that people have their own sort of list of things. And I think that's going to only sort of build on the work that we do, because that's going to open up conversations that, I thought my A word will be this, and how come? And we just have conversations about it. Wouldn't that be lovely? So, when I look at my own book, A to Z, it's like A to Z as if I am defining something, but, the learning doesn't come from definitions. Learning comes from defining. And the process of actually doing it together is what's really I'm so looking forward to doing together with other people.
Before we're done today, I have another kind of general question. Solution-focused coaching has been applied very widely in lots of different areas. And I'm just curious as to what is your, or do you have a niche on solution focused coaching or specialization?
I don't anymore. I think because of my background is in organization and development and kind of leadership education at workplace. So that's my background, workplace education and so on. So it used to be, how do we use solution focused stance in how we teach? So how adults learn, for example. And then also I used a lot of solution focused appreciative inquiry type of work in organization and development, but I don't think I have that anymore, because every conversation actually becomes that opportunity. Like really, as people are listening into this, your very next conversation probably can be even better than what you've been having. And we're not talking about you having to sit down for 45 minutes with this person, but it could be like so micro conversation that can really happen with one word. Like you can really do that by saying, oh, I just have to do this and do that. And simply you saying, oh, you've already done all that. Wow, already? Now that's a micro conversation switching right there. So I think that's what I'm really hoping that people will do, because I don't think I have a specific area. This is my specialty, but broadly, I think my academic background is in adult education. So I look at it really from how people learn, and how do we know that they're learning, and how do we know their learning has anything to do with you? Yeah.
You've only got a few minutes to go. Naomi, shoot.
Okay, well, something else I discovered today, which I sort of wish I'd already known about. But anyway, Thriving Women, Thriving World.
Yes.
Tell us about that publication.
Wow. That book. Oh, I actually love that book too. Thriving Women and Thriving World. I think I have the book here. Actually, that's co-authored with a lot of different people, including Angela Boyanko, who's like we started Solution Focus on the same day. Her as a client, me as a practitioner, right? And also we have so many other people who practice social construction, and one of the main authors being Diana Whitney, who's the founder actually of Appreciative Inquiry.
That's what made me think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And this book really was in celebration of women, like thriving women, and we can really change like how the world is going. It's not just about women though, but this book has different sections in there with specific actionable guide, so that we can either take this and then have conversations about it and so on. And then there's a section, especially the last section, it's called How Do We Curate Better Stories? So last section is where you will see a lot of language that you are familiar with in solution focused. How do you cultivate those life-giving relations? How do we curate better stories? And how do you caretake those relations? So those are some of those. It's only 2 years old, so I still give it to people who are doing a lot of work in that space as well. And March being, that celebration of that, I think, thank you for actually acknowledging that book.
I'm excited to read it. And I agree.
Very
so
practical
much.
One.
Right. Yeah. And I agree so much that it's not for women. It's these ideas of thriving women, thriving world is about a system.
Yes.
A system where we all benefit one another by embracing compassion or femininity.
And it's all from the let's say work of Ken Gergen, who speaks about how do we actually set up a system so that we can actually afford these different relations, right? And I think that's the central idea of that actual premise of the book too.
Yes. Yeah, affording. Brilliant.
Love it. Joe.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask Haesun, fascinating conversation, spoken about guys I've never heard of, but I just wanted to know what it felt like to hold that hard copy in your hands after so much work, and what that felt like, that moment.
So I remember that day I came back from a walk with my mom, and there are 2 boxes in front of my house. And we were not expecting any shipment, and we didn't know that they're sending it to us, actually. So we're like, what are these? And then my mom's like, what did you order this time? Mom, I didn't order anything. Oh, and then we brought it in, and I opened it up, and then because the box was not like labeled or anything, I was like, what is this? Opened it, and it was the box full of those books. And I was like, Mom, look. And I took one out, and then she saw it, and she's like, oh, she took it from my hand. And I remember her laying her hand on my book, and she prayed. And you know what she said was, she said, may this book bear much fruit in people's heart.
Wow.
And that was the prayer. And I'm thinking, yes, that's exactly the hope behind this book. And I really consider my mom and my dad and like all my relations to be co-authors of this book too. So it was so meaningful for her to take it from my hand and just pray.
That is perfect.
Perfect.
That is great. Yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't think
what can you say after that?
I think, yeah.
We'll all be going round to Haesun's mum's house. Every time anyone writes something. It's beautiful.
Well, I think afterwards that would call for a glass of wine and a toast.
Exactly. Oh, Gil, it's empty, mate. Guys.
Any last question or comment from you, Gil?
No, I've been gabbing too much.
No.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's been a lot of fun. Learned a lot.
Any last comments from you, Naomi and Joe, and then I'll go to Haesun.
My last comment is that when I read about the curate, that really made me think about that concept touching my heart. And you said that about how you hope that that your mum said that prayer, and and I think the way that you do things is quite heart touching. So it all connects.
Yeah. It's just.
I'll just say, hey, Haesun, you explain things so well. I bet you're a great teacher, and
she is.
We'll see about that.
So you need to let us know when you're doing some trainings or workshops. I want to come and attend.
I would love to learn with you. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, just wanted to thank everyone for such a lovely, lovely evening. What a lovely, touching story. I will remember your hand going on that book and in your mum's words. How brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, thank you for making this actually bearable. Thank you so much. I'm so worried about it.
There's nothing to worry about. It's just us.
You make it look so easy.
So, O is for opportunity, M is for micro, L is for learning, T is for thriving.
Hey.
You cheating, Ash?
No. Did I get any right?
You make up your own words and we can chat about it. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You've given me a headache as it is, because now I'm having to look up all these words that I don't even know what they mean. So you're talking about these words. I'm like, what's that? So I'm looking it up.
And H stands for how to go jiggle? Who to go jiggle?
That's what I'm saying.
Bless you.
It took me a little while to be able to find the correct spelling. Once I did that, and then I nearly swore while you lot were talking, because I was like, shit, I've lost it. Because I closed the tab just as I found it, because I was going to say, oh, this is how you spell it, guys. And I lost it. And I thought, I can't be bothered to do that again. It's always a pleasure to see all of you. But Haesun, we're here for you this evening. And it's absolutely incredible. We are all so proud of you and for you and behind you and beside you.
Oh,
And I think we are just so proud. It's like one of our sisters just kind of writing this
thank
book, and it's
you.
being published, and we're just so excited for you. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes of people not being able to order it, or it's coming in later than May. So we're ordering books for people to send it to them because we're just so excited to read it.
Mm.
And to be honest, you could write anything in there, but the author is Haesun Moon.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we're going to enjoy it anyway.
thank you.
So, but I'm sure it's wonderful. It sounds absolutely brilliant. E-copy, please.
I will.
And yeah, I can't wait to actually see you so you can
Yeah.
sign our copies.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Oh,
That would be, I mean, we went to Edinburgh, didn't we, Joe, just so Mark McCurgo could sign,
Yeah.
sign his book, who I
Yeah.
pretended to have read.
Mm. Oh, and in that book, he talks about affordance, just so you know.
Joe read it, Naomi. Joe read it.
Yeah.
brilliant. Well
But I
done,
will be
Joe.
reading your book. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Can I ask you guys to just say this and say bye behind the scenes, and to everybody else, see you next time on FBS Chat, and do take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.